Hello and welcome to She Shield Season 2, Episode 4. This is the Entertainment Corner, and this is the very first time I have ever done this, guys. I'm actually kind of nervous. I've always found that, a balance of entertainment, education, and storytelling is the best thing you can do on social media and on podcasts. So my goal is to hit all three of those today. I'm definitely not just here to entertain, but we're primarily leading kind of with that term because we're reacting to trending videos right now, and especially just a few that stood out to me. And I added them to this folder in my Instagram saved content called React. So today we're doing that. It's a little bit vulnerable, but I'm glad you're here with me. If you're listening to this on any major listening platform, feel free to head over to the YouTube channel at She Shield Pod to see the video content that goes along with today's content so that you can actually see the videos associated with the stories and content I'm about to describe. But just to make sure we cover our bases, let's do our intro. I'm your host, Sophia, and this season we're bringing a fresh lineup designed to educate, empower, and entertain. The mission of this podcast has always been to bring you practical knowledge from experts in the industry, whether that's competitive shooting, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, concealed carry, or everyday preparedness. And now in season 2, we're adding even more new corners like entertainment breakdowns, plus more solo episodes where I'll share my own experiences and insights with you directly. Of course, we're doing this in addition to guest speaker episodes and a women's only corner. If you haven't already, take a moment to subscribe wherever you are listening. You don't want to miss an episode. And if you'd rather watch the conversation, full video episodes are available on YouTube at She Shield Pod, and highlights will be as well on all of our social media channels at She Shield Pod, sometimes shared with my own account at Fit4Fia. I'm really glad you guys are here. Welcome to season 2. Let's get started. Woo, guys, this first video is so hard to watch, even though I've watched it like 10 times. So this girl's at an all-women's sporting event. She sets down her camera to get some vlogging done. She's just finished whatever competition this was, and a guy approaches her. Now, she's thinking, everyone's in good spirits, but you can tell she's tipped off because this is an all-women's event. This guy is holding a drink, and he's also seemingly drunk. You'll see in a moment him stumble in front of the camera. He picks her up to spin her, and this is where she starts realizing something is very, very off. Now, if you're like the people in her comments thinking, why didn't she just tell him to F off? Guys, that is not being part of the solution. Talking about this and talking about maybe what she could do going forward in training is part of the solution. So let's do that. Now, you can see that she is laughing and she's almost expecting him to pick up on her cues. We can't expect someone who has already come into our space like this to respect our cues. And we also especially can't do that with someone who is inebriated. This is a good example of someone who needs ask, tell, and make training, aka verbal de-escalation, managing unknown contacts, whatever you would like to call it, building a verbal toolbox to tell someone to get back. She's obviously uncomfortable. She's mitigating risk as much as possible, trying to keep things light, because that's what we as women feel we have to do when we are in situations like this. If you've yet to get any training like this, I highly recommend checking out ShivWorks. This is where I first learned the ask, tell, make model. And of course, they have their own, specific instructional points on this. So definitely check out their class. Don't just rely on this episode. This is only to bring attention to the necessity for training like this. Now, she even moves to another side of the facility. She's trying to, again, just get some vlogging influencer content, and he comes back and even tells her she needs to leave. A security guard thankfully comes up, and that's when some aid is rendered, and then you can tell she's just kind of in shock the rest of the video because she doesn't know what to do. I really hope for those of you that are listening or watching this, that this maybe brings to your mind, well, do I have a verbal toolbox, right? My ask, tell, make sounds something like, hey man, you're coming a little close to me. I need you to back up. What can I do to help you? From there, if someone is asking me to help them, with their car tire, something like that, and I'm the only woman parked far back in a parking lot, I'm going to simply ask that person to go and ask someone else inside of the store, wherever I'm at, for example. If they don't respect that ask, I may have to tell them, hey man, I cannot help you out. I need you to walk away, right? If that's not respected and I need to use more tell, I can raise my voice. I can use, stronger language like curse words as exclamation points. And then if I have to, I may have to escalate for the point of de-escalation. That would be with either striking, pepper spray, for example, and or a firearm, which hopefully that would never have to happen, but it's one of those things I would rather have my tool and be trained with it than have nothing at all. Let's move on to something a little bit more lighthearted. In this video, these two girls were walking, and it is obviously a parody. They've kind of staged their phone, and this alleged robber comes up and they start digging around in their purse for pepper spray, for a knife, and they're even kind of giggling. Now, this is a funny video. I enjoy videos like this because it brings up a good point. They were not ready. They did not have the tools readily accessible. So accessible. So let's talk about what I do with tools like pepper spray, because they mentioned pepper spray in this video, to make sure I have it staged properly. The first thing I do is, if I am walking to and from my car, I have my keychain staged where I'm actually carrying my keys by the pepper spray. So this is how I actually carry my keychain. I don't actually have it by the keys on the other side of this, and that way it is already in hand. Now, if I need to go to my firearm for any reason, I can of course toss this to the side and I can access my gun, but it's one of those moments I'd rather have it accessible than not. Now, when I go on a run, I tend to run with a chest pack where I can actually stage my pepper spray, the clip model of this palm pepper spray unit, onto the front of my zipper compartment. This is great for mitigating, of course, risk in a situation where someone approaches me and I'm, having to use since we've talked about it now, the make part of the ask, tell, make. And then, of course, I have it for aggressive dogs. I can't tell you how many times I have had aggressive dogs run up to me on a run, and I'm not going to pull my gun on a dog, especially because there could be people beyond that dog. If I'm walking with my own dog, for example, if you're someone that has a dog at home, you definitely don't want to have to shoot an aggressive dog attacking your own dog and put your own dog's life in danger. So pepper spray is one of those things. It's multifaceted and it's just so cheap, attainable, and especially brands like Palm Pepper Spray that offer a training unit make it so easy for you to actually get to know your unit so that you know how to use it effectively in case you ever do. All right, guys, we did a lighthearted one. Let's move on to a little bit more of a serious one. So this one, I found a girl is in a gym and a guy comes up and asks to work in with her. Now, in the video, she mentions that this other machine to the side of her is available. So there was really no need for him to walk up and insist on using hers. And this is kind of a girl's nightmare at the gym, right? We do like to look cute. We do like to look presentable, but we definitely don't want our workout interrupted because someone is trying to make a move. I've had guy friends call me and be like, hey, I have a crush on this girl at the gym. How should I approach her? And my first thing is like, well, first of all, like, do we know she's single? I walk them kind of through these questions to make sure we're not just approaching someone who maybe really doesn't want to be approached. But I definitely tell them, do not interrupt her set. Like, maybe catch her at a break, but do not interrupt that set. Now, she starts putting her hands up. She starts explaining to him, you need to go away. I'm not sharing my machine with you. And I love that. She's definitely got a bit more of kind of like gumption of, about her when it comes to telling this guy off. And I really appreciate that because, she's very polite at first. She's like, hey, that machine does the same thing. And if you're thinking of, strictly a workout, which is what a gym is for, you would think that he would be excited to find that there's actually an open machine. Now, I've made this mistake before. I go to a pretty popular commercial gym and I've definitely like almost kind of side-eyed people that were sitting on the machine I wanted. And then I've looked over and there's been the same machine right there that I could have easily gone to and not been upset at this person for sitting on their phone on the machine and taking it. This guy obviously had other intentions, and that's where she came in with her verbal instructions that, hey, I'm not willing to share this machine with you, and under no conditions am I going to budge on that. There's no reason for him to be asking this of her. That's actually a phrase I really like from Shivworks. Craig Douglas says, like, respecting your ask, right? In the model of ask, tell, make, you want to see someone respect your ask. But if they don't, which happens, especially, this is a good example where things didn't escalate to violence, but he didn't take no for an answer. If they don't respect your ask, you may have to move on like she did to tell. So in this video, this guy is standing on a train, it looks like. I don't know the full context. I saw a couple POVs of this video, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I love to watch it. I probably shouldn't say that, but this guy has some experience, obviously, with boxing, Muay Thai, and he's being picked on by someone on the train, seemingly asking him about his ethnicity, where he's from. If I recall correctly, I've watched this without the sound mostly because he just delivers such a good, solid strike. Now, it doesn't look like he's verbalizing, telling the man to get back. And I'm definitely not here to critique this to say he should have done that. These are such close quarters that if he told the guy to get back and he didn't respect that, he risks running into other people, not being able to get away, and even maybe having to like turn his back completely to walk away. So I totally get why he stayed kind of framed towards him. You can see that he completely knocks this guy out, which honestly, at that point, might have been the safest thing to do. This guy's got on a sweater and a jacket. You can't really see what's under there. So it looks like he escalated for the point of de-escalation to protect himself, not waiting on this guy to put hands on him. He practically gets in his face threatening that. So, it's one of those things, be able to articulate why you've decided to move on to something that could be lethal force. This man falls back. We have no idea what's happened to him. He seems to be unconscious. Whether or not that is permanent, we don't know. But obviously, this boy felt like his life was in danger. So that is what happened. I can't really speak on it much more. I don't have the context, but gosh, is it like a beautiful combo. This next video is a girl. In her caption, she says, for the first time in over 30 years of solo hiking, she ran into a creeper at the trailhead. In 30 years, you guys, that's crazy. I feel like my first few hikes, I had some like creepy experiences. So I'm so glad that she's been able to stay safe for that long. But let's talk about this video. She starts recording and shows him because she knows something is off. In my classes where I teach the ask, tell, make model, where we talk about that gut feeling, I never truly feel like I need to explain a gut feeling, especially to a woman. We are so in tune with our gut. She feels something is off, so obviously she takes action. Now, when it comes to stopping to record something, guys, it's one of those things. I'm going to record, but I'm going to be getting away, whether this be to another individual or to my car or to my home. I'm going to be using that time to be on the move. It's also questionable whether or not there should have been a 911 call made with recording in progress. Of course, I know with the iPhone I have, which is an older model of an iPhone, you can't necessarily make a phone call and record. So she obviously felt like recording was the right thing to do here. I don't know if this woman is armed, but she does say in her caption that, throughout this series of events where she sees the guy, she marks every moment where she felt something was off. And she very much confirmed with herself, with her gut, that something was off. Now, looks like she's doing fine. She's been posting since, so all is well. But guys, this is one of those times where we really have to learn to trust our intuition. Off to another good knockout. The caption of this video is guy assaults female wrestler. Now, when I first read this, I was like, ooh, baby, I feel bad for him because wrestling is such an applicable martial arts for self-defense purposes. And I was so excited to see where this goes. So this guy approaches her. He puts his right hand up like he's about to throw a freaking cross and starts backing her into the corner. Now, she does what she's been trained to do, which is to go for a double leg takedown. You can tell she's even like, bro, what are you doing? She's got her hands up, but she goes in quick. All he can do is punch at her back, her kidneys, whatever. She's able to slam him down and get top control. Now, she's going for full mount, and it's one of those things, guys, you can pretty much imagine why you would never want to be in full mount. She's punching, kicking. We're not going to go into how you should theoretically finish someone off if you ever have to take them down, but I do love this video because it goes to show how her technical training came into play in such a high stress moment. I mean, she gets striked and she immediately goes for that double leg. I freaking love to see that. This is why I tell people about wrestling because I said in a previous episode with Thea, that Van Lethea on social media, that wrestling is something I always had this kind of like high school impression of. But once I got a better understanding of it in these ShivWorks classes, what it is to do Greco-Roman wrestling, I was like, where have you been all my life? But wrestling is not one of those things that is readily accessible in most gyms. You can find gyms that have, applications of wrestling, which is something I'm personally looking for right now in a gym. I moved recently and I'm looking for a new, MMA gym. So I'm truly looking for one with a wrestling influence. And this is why. All right, let's move on to another very serious one, but really good talking points, good opportunities, guys. My point with these videos are not to criticize the people in them and the decisions that are made. It is to utilize this social content for something good. It's to talk about maybe what could be done differently, better next time. In this video, it's actually a multi-part series. This woman is in a van. She says, it's 2 a.m. I'm camping in the woods and just woke up to a man standing outside my rig, staring through my window and trying to get into my truck. So she's already past the point of wondering what the intentions are of this person. Her next video follow-up says, update, was camping alone, woke up to a man standing outside of my camper at 2 a.m. trying to get in. She called the police and they were able to escort her out of the woods. She did the best for what she could do. Now, a lot of these comments are like, why don't you have a gun? You need to buy a gun. And yes, absolutely. I don't even go for a walk in my very safe neighborhood without a pistol. And I can attest to a time where Lena and I were out running for our half marathon and a man in a ski mask and glasses, guys, a man with a ski mask and glasses was on our path, turned his bike sideways. So it's perpendicular to the path. We knew that something was off. Lena starts telling him, like, we're not coming near you. He starts waiting for us to come near, and we have to jump a fence to get away. Now, I remember thinking I was doing a little bit of overkill on, my prep to go running for the half marathon because I always have a blade, pepper spray, and gun. But after this event, it confirmed that I am unwilling to go without those things. If I'm in the middle of the woods, it's going to be even more so something I am prepared for between animals that are around, and at least in the area I live in, and, well, people. This is a great reason to purchase a firearm, learn how to use it, have it accessible, and take it with you everywhere, especially camping out in the woods. Okay, in this next video, you can see this guy is behind a counter. Someone refuses to pay. He starts grabbing his things. It looks like a computer repair shop. And this guy gets behind the counter. He actually frames with the computer to use it as a tool. And he goes to retrieve pepper spray. Now, I love this example because this guy is like probably 2 to 3 inches taller than this other guy. He's very obviously physically larger. The guy's telling him to back down. He's saying, you're not paying. And then he gets the pepper spray canister up and is able to back the guy down using a non-lethal force. Now, this is a great time to mention brands like Palm Pepper Spray sell everything from a clip and keychain EDC model all the way up to the MK3 unit, which is more of the professional grade unit that can clip onto a duty belt, all the way up to a unit that looks exactly like this one. It is their home defense unit. This guy sprays him and he's immediately incapacitated. He tries to wipe it off of his face, and then the guy with the pepper spray starts to kick him out of his store. So he was able to mitigate this risk with the use of a non-lethal like pepper spray, as well as striking. Now, the kick wasn't a perfect kick, but it was a good kind of Spartan-like kick where he's able to get this guy out of the store successfully. In my book, what a win. In honor of spooky season, this one is crazy. Now, watch the video closely. Do you see it? Just wait. All right, so this girl is walking outside. She's letting her dog out. She's doing very typical nighttime things. She even turns on the light on her front porch. She's calling out to her dog, kind of telling her dog, wrap it up. You can tell she's in her PJs. She's tired. We've all been there. And I think maybe she starts to feel something is off because she starts to turn around in a moment and she sees that there is a man on her porch. Did you guys see him? The first time I watched this, I did not see him. He is simply Jay chillin' in this rocking chair. And then he just kind of gets up and kind of meanders away. The dog starts chasing him. He's probably at that point like, well, crap. But guys, good for her. She ran back inside of the house. She calls for her husband, and the husband's like, "Where's the guy?" The dog is still outside, which, let's not get into whether that was right or wrong. This video is very spooky, just in time for Halloween. This next video absolutely makes my blood boil. This woman at Julia Hub was trafficked, and she shows her trafficker, a man who looks very normal, someone you might think is, your kid's playdate's father, the dude down the street out mowing that you might invite over for a neighborhood grill thing. I don't know if people still do that, but her point is to go to show that she did not see the red flags simply because he presented normally. Now, this is something that I learned in ShivWorks. We tend to have biases towards certain demographics. This can range from age, gender, and whether or not someone is well dressed. For example, you might see a woman who's in her mid 20s, dressed well, be very, less threatening or seemingly less threatening than a, let's say, man in his mid 40s, not dressed well, potentially even kind of dirty, slumped over, approaching you in a parking lot. Your kind of like alerts may be going off a bit more for that man and that woman because we have these kind of predisposed biases towards those demographics. It's important to know that anyone could be of threat, and it's important to know that they know that as well, right? They will use that to their advantage in order to help you let your guard down so that they can strike. The way that we can prevent anything happening is to assume that everyone is capable of this, no matter how they present. We want to look for things like pre-assault cues, and we just want to stay ready. All right, let's end on a happy one. This is one of my favorite videos on the internet. Apparently, multiple people wrote letters to the city of Boston complaining about this very unsafe children's slide. So this police officer came down and actually went down the slide, and it is one of the funniest things ever. It actually goes to show why so many people were writing these letters. Now, I saw this video a long time ago, and I remember my first thought was, wow, that guy's gun actually stayed on him. Like whatever holster that was, the retention is solid. You can tell he loses a few things. It looks like some handcuffs and potentially a mag or a flashlight comes off of his belt. But this is a hilarious video. I actually really love that this police officer took it into his own hands to fully test it because, as you can see, this is a pretty dangerous slide. All right, guys, that's a wrap on episode 4. I really hope you enjoyed this style of episode. It's the first time that I've done anything like this. I've seen some crazy videos that I've just thought, holy crap, that would be a great opportunity for discussion, whether it be to just bring awareness to this or just entertain you on your drive to work today. So if you took the time to listen, thank you so much. Wherever you're listening right now, guys, please take a moment to hit the subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and rate the podcast. This is how we get the name of the podcast out there. She Shield is a completely self-funded podcast, so anything you can do to help like that would be incredible. And don't be afraid to share this episode with a friend because, in my opinion, it's one of the lighter episodes to get started on. And it's not to say that like entertainment is like the best way to get people in, but it could be the reason someone finds the episodes so that at the end of the day, they can learn from the other content like the educational corners, the women's corner, as well as the guest speaker episodes with just some incredible people like Jaylise Williams. She was our first guest speaker. She's the first woman to represent the US on the overall team. And I couldn't be more proud to have her as a friend and have had her on the podcast. So guys, thank you so much for listening. Stay safe, stay vigilant, and we'll see you in the next one.